Shalom, welcome to the Jewish View. My name is Rabbi Nachman Simon with the Chabad House of Delmar, and we have a very special guest with us today, Miss Leah Caras. Leah, welcome to the Jewish View.
Thank you.
Well, if we can see here, you are the publisher of Yalda magazine, and we wanted to talk about that. Actually, you're a very young woman and didn't start even a half a year ago, which would be an accomplishment itself. Some people publish things at they're 30, they have so much experience, they're 30, 40 years old, and they get into publishing business. And you started very young, so tell us about how you got into it and even how young you were.
So I was actually 12 when I started brainstorming the idea for Yalda magazine, and 13 when the first issue came out. And how I got into it really was that I enjoyed writing, I enjoyed reading magazines, and I was looking for a magazine that spoke to me as a Jewish girl. And I was a big fan of American Girl magazine. I really liked the style of the articles and everything, but I wanted something that talked about Jewish holidays, Jewish values, and that connected me to other Jewish girls around the world. So I started brainstorming the idea for Yalda, which is the Hebrew word for girl. I started thinking what types of articles I would want to read. So there's everything from babysitting tips to crafts for Rosh Hashanah to stories about Jewish women and interviews with inspiring Jewish girls. So for a full year, I pulled together articles that mostly I wrote. I got a few of my friends involved. I taught myself graphic design in order to design the magazine. I took the cover photos and really learned on the job. I did a lot of Googling, a lot of asking questions of how to set up a business, how to open a bank account and set up a website. But after a full year, when I was 13, the first issue came out, and I was so excited to be holding that, glossy magazine finally in my hands. And I really just started out handing it out to my friends at school, selling it to my teachers, and very, very quickly the word spread. So after a few days that it was out, there was an article in my local Jewish newspaper. I'm actually originally from Sharon, Massachusetts, so it was the Boston Jewish Advocate. And once that article was out, our orders started coming in, people started telling their friends about it, and within a few weeks I was getting phone calls of people, asking to order over the phone and wanting to give gift subscriptions to their granddaughters and nieces. And those 150 copies that we printed of the first issue sold out very quickly. We had to print more, and we then continued on to printing the next issue. After that, I got an editorial board of girls involved. So the way the magazine runs now is that I oversee everything, and this editorial board of 20 girls ages 8 to 15 from around the country and a few other countries as well. They brainstorm all the articles that go in it, they write them, they illustrate, they take the photos. So it's really for girls by girls. And it's been going for just about 8 years now. So we've been expanding, and it's been a real adventure, and I've learned so much from the whole publishing experience that I just kind of jumped into.
What have you really have special articles you can tell us about? I mean, just about that something is geared for Jewish girls that you feel is for Jewish girls different than just like American girls.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is that we'll definitely talk about the Jewish holidays, everything from crafts to, tips for an easy fast on Yom Kippur to, ideas of creative Hanukkah menorahs. And then there are also general articles, like we've had an article about leadership. And sometimes what we'll do is we'll throw in, who were important Jewish leaders, or what does the Torah say about leadership qualities. So we try to sometimes, make a connection like that. And then often what we're doing is we're just profiling other Jewish girls and, sharing interesting situations they're in. For example, we just did an article about what's it like to have your mother as your teacher. So we interviewed a few different Jewish girls whose mothers have been their teachers. We also have a section called Real Role Model, where we'll profile Jewish girls who are either doing a really nice charity project or stood up for their Jewish belief in some way, or made a difference. So that's something we really like to try to focus on, really positive role models and connecting to other Jewish girls and really giving girls the feeling that they're part of this community, that they're flipping through the pages, they're seeing all the different articles written by girls, profiling girls, and we really do get that feedback. The girls feel like they're part of something bigger than just their local community.
It's excellent. Well, I've been following you for many years. Of course, I have a few girls myself and they're subscribers, but I saw that you actually won a national prize. What was it, a few years ago now?
Yeah, it was about 4 years ago, and that was a very exciting time for the magazine. I had been running the magazine for about 4 years at the time, and we mostly tried to cover our budget by getting some ads, getting some sponsors, but it was very tight, and at that point we were really low on funds, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to continue. And my mother is a writer, and she saw a contest sponsored by Wells Fargo called Someday Stories, and it was, if you could win $100,000, what would your someday story be? What would you do with that? So she submitted an essay saying how she would sponsor and help grow her daughter's magazine that she had started at age 13. And she mentioned that she had written this article. She submitted it. I kind of forgot about the contest. And then later that year, while I was actually in camp, I got a phone call, and she said, "Are you sitting down?" And I said, "No, I'm actually on a trip." And she said, "Well, I just found out that we're one of the 5 finalists in this contest. And just for being a finalist, we won $10,000. And Wells Fargo came out to my house, made a whole video about the magazine, how it got started, and actually took me in a ride around my neighborhood in their iconic Wells Fargo stagecoach." So that was out of 10,000 people that entered. I was one of the 5 finalists. And then the next phase of the contest was the voting phase. So between those 5 finalists, they opened voting to the public and said that whoever gets the most votes in about a 6-week period would win the $100,000 prize. So that was a very exciting and also very stressful time, of course. And we went all out campaigning, getting all our readers to tell their friends about voting. A lot of Jewish organizations put out a call to everyone, please vote for this Jewish girl. And until the end, it was very tight. But we did pull through. We got 28,000 votes, and they announced Yalda as the winner of their Someday Stories contest. So at that point, they flew me and my mother out to San Francisco. There was a whole award ceremony and another ride around down the streets of San Francisco in the Wells Fargo stagecoach, and they presented me with a check for $100,000. So that was a real blessing, exactly when I needed it, and that really is what pushed the magazine forward. We were able to expand to publishing books for Jewish girls as well. So we have 2 books out so far for girls, and we made the magazine longer, we made it glossier, we were able to hire some staff, and really took the burden off this constant fundraising that I had been doing at that point. So now 4 years later, we still need funds. $100,000 doesn't go so far in the publishing world, but that was really an exciting time and a huge blessing that enabled me to be able to continue this and bring it to what it is today.
It's excellent. What are your goals for the future, though? I mean, you have so many subscriptions to this magazine. How often do you even publish it?
So right now we publish it monthly, and this is actually a new expansion that we've done. For the first 7 years, it was quarterly. So we were coming out 4 times a year, and just this past spring, we decided to take the leap. All our readers had constantly been telling us, we want it more often, we don't see it enough. So we decided that we're going to go monthly. So now it comes out 10 times a year. We are off for the summer, so we don't do July and August. But otherwise, we're monthly, and we've just been getting great feedback from our readers that they're so excited to be seeing the magazine more often. But in terms of the future, I definitely would like to continue putting out more books for girls as well. We've taken a little pause on that, marketing the books we have.
Who writes it when you say putting them out?
Yeah.
Where did you get the writers?
So the first book we have is called The Yalda Year, and it's a book of crafts and recipes connected to the Jewish holidays that actually I put together with a friend of mine. Our second book is a full-fledged fiction novel geared for Jewish girls, but also applicable to any girl. And that, I mentioned my mother is a writer, so I commissioned her to write our first fiction novel. I bugged her, and she kept telling me, no, I don't know, I'm writing other projects, I'm doing other things. Finally, I came to her with a contract, and I said, here's the book I want you to write, here's when I need it by, here's the, what I'll do as the publisher, and she agreed. So that came out about 2 years ago. It's called One Is Not a Lonely Number, and it's available from Amazon. So yeah, we're always looking for books, probably written by adults, but we've had some fantastic submissions from talented girls as well. So in the future, I would like to continue with some more books. A lot of people have asked me for a kind of older sister magazine for teens, because this is geared more for ages 8 to 15. So maybe in the future, at some point, we would also expand up to a 15 to 18-year-old magazine, something like that. But right now, I'm really focusing on expanding the magazine as it is now for the girls it targets now.
Expanding what, subscription, or just the size of it?
Expanding subscriptions. We have expanded the size, and like I said, expanding the frequency. And one thing we've also recently done is we expanded our website. So we actually put articles now available on the website for girls to read and comment on, and we have a group of girl bloggers who each have their own blog on our website. So some of them write about fashion tips, some have a photography blog, some of them write about the weekly Torah portion. So that really also provides a lot of content on our website, and it's another way for girls to interact with each other, build this community of Jewish girls. So that's also been another way that we've expanded the magazine to kind of give more content in between each issue.
Do you know, maybe the demographics of your subscribers? Are they day school, Jewish-minded kids also, or you get kids that are really just maybe on the fringes of, if we can say, of the Jewish observance, but, they're getting them interested in Jewish things?
When I first made the magazine, actually, I was gearing it for observant girls because I felt like they didn't have a magazine. But I was very pleasantly surprised by the response I got from girls from all spectrums of Jewish life. So I'd say the majority of our readers do have, are affiliated. They either, might go to a Jewish day school or, regularly go to a after school, Hebrew school kind of thing. We have many Orthodox readers and many non-Orthodox readers. And there are some girls that have just heard about it and, subscribed or picked it up in Barnes & Noble and gotten involved in it. So we've had some really nice, inspiring letters that girls have written about how Yalda has inspired them and impacted them to be more involved in Jewish life. And we've even had a few non-Jewish readers who have subscribed and written letters and said, I was just intrigued by this story of this 13-year-old who published a magazine. I wanted to see it. I find it interesting. So we really have a very wide spectrum of readers.
Very good. What about the potential? I mean, how many girls do you think? I mean, how many girls in America? But I'm just saying there's so many really day school girls. I mean, do you have even a figure? I'm just asking from New York City.
Right.
I mean, I would think that most girls maybe, should, or,
right.
Or it would be a nice thing for any girl. But, I mean, it's a glitch market, it's a...
Yeah, it
but
definitely...
on the other hand, must be some number that you're looking at.
Yeah, we definitely have not tapped into the whole market at all. We would definitely like to get up to 5 or even 10,000 readers. I think we definitely could reach 10,000 readers. Just in terms of day schools, from my research, there are about 100,000 Jewish girls in day schools in the U.S. So if we could reach 10% of that, or also reach
Hebrew
some
schools,
other
like you
Hebrew
say,
schools, exactly. I would, our goal really would be to get up to 10,000.
And I just was looking through it before. There's actually some interesting articles also, but they, for myself, and I'm not a Jewish girl, but I mean, the advertisement, does that look like a future idea? Is that a reason you don't want advertisement, or you?
We have gotten some advertisements. We've gone through sometimes where we had someone sitting, calling companies, meeting with them, and then sometimes where I did it, sometimes where I was just too busy. So we haven't really been able to focus on that. So you'll see some issues, there's 2 or 3 ads, some issue there's none, some issues there might even be 6 or so, but we haven't really gotten more than that. But I think if we really could expand our readership more and get up to those, few thousand numbers, it could be a very, good place, really the only way to reach this niche market of Jewish girls in terms of anything from bat mitzvah gifts to fashion and accessories, to, food, kosher food, exactly. So I do think there is potential there.
Well, that's excellent over here. So, I mean, the Yalda magazine is, good for everywhere, but it's specifically, you're in Albany now, so I think that's a compliment to the Jewish community of Albany to attract a person like yourself. What brought you to Albany?
I lived in Massachusetts, and then when I got married, I lived in Brooklyn for a year. And after a year, I knew that I had grown up in a small town kind of place, and I was looking to get out of the city. And I had been involved in the Jewish Girls Retreat that's run out of Troy here by Nechama Labor. So I had been to Albany many times. I had gotten to know people in the community through the retreat. I had actually been a counselor there for about 7 years, so I'd really built up a connection with the retreat, and I continued to be involved. So, we were open to places, but Albany, we liked the feeling of it. We liked that it was still a close enough drive to New York. It's not, moving cross country. And we're very happy to be here now that we're able to help out with the Jewish Girls Retreat, and we spent the summer there. I was the program director, and my husband actually was the chef. So we had a joint effort there. So yeah, that's really what brought us to Albany, and we're very happy to be here and looking forward to connecting to Jewish girls in Albany and, getting the magazine out in this area. We haven't really explored that much yet.
Well, it's excellent over there. But, I think that when the Yalda magazine, I mean, like I was saying before, has a more of a significance. I think there is a potential for a wider market. Would you go beyond that, or it's just, I guess, your plate is full, like you were saying before? But I'm already thinking I'm helping you out. I'm not in the committee of anything, but just, like the electronic media, which I'm also trying to get into.
Right.
Also, just a website, like you were saying, and maybe communication. There's so many outside things though that I don't avail myself of.
Right.
But nowadays there's just so much, like blogs and speaking to girls over the internet.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a little bit. I've traveled a little bit, speaking at schools, giving kind of an inspirational, motivational speech about how I started the magazine and encouraging girls to go for their dreams. And, like I said, we have our website, but yeah, there are so many ideas and ways to expand, whether it's, I've thought of the idea of some online classes for girls or, an online kind of club. So right now, my plate is full, but I'm definitely...
sure you're working hard. I mean, really, again, as I kind of said it, but I hinted at the beginning, I mean, one hand, it is your age. I mean, you're just saying, oh, I was 13, but it is a very remarkable thing. You're still a very young woman, and that you can accomplish that. So I'm saying people 30, 40, 50 years old, oh, I'd like to do something like that, and they have degrees and and they have experience, and they still don't get themselves together. And here you're just a young teenager, and you made such a remarkable magazine. So it really is, like I say, it's pushing you more than
well, I mean, one of the things that I tell girls when I speak at these schools is I say, I think it's because I was 13 that I was able to do it, because now, when I think about all the logistics to figure out and how am I going to fundraise, and, it's going to be such a big project, I didn't know anything. I said, I want this magazine to read. I'll find out as I go along. And that's really one of the remarkable things about youth, that they're, you know, much more idealistic and really can go for their dreams, and you also have the ability to take more risks, you know. So I'm very lucky also that I was able to do that and have that experience at that age.
No, it is very good how that you're young, but you know, that's the youthful idea. You're working out with Jewish, you know, girls. What in general, working with Jewish girls, and because we deal with this as rabbis, as educators, you know, there isn't that much. Even though you're saying there's so many Jewish girls, but like you're saying, 10% or 90% aren't affiliated, and just in general, away from the magazine, of just what, you know, what the issues are with Jewish girls, why they're not involved, or what would motivate them to get involved. I mean, from talking to such a wide spectrum of Jewish girls.
I think some of them aren't exposed or haven't really been excited yet about Judaism. So that's one of the things that we really try to do in the magazine. We try to make Judaism fun and exciting and inspiring. And at that age, it is very social also. So, you know, if a girl's friends are involved in Jewish things, if, you know, she hears that there's, let's say, a program for girls her age or a club going on that her friends are into, that's one way that I've seen a lot of girls more likely to be involved than, you know, their parents dragging them to synagogue or something where they feel like, you know, it's not what their friends are into. So that's one thing I've seen. But I think a lot of times girls, especially one thing that our readers are very into is definitely, you know, making a difference in their community, whether it's through volunteering, through raising money. That's something that is very exciting, and you know, exciting to a girl that she can do something to make a difference. So that's another way that I think girls really have the opportunity to get involved in the Jewish community or in a synagogue through, you know, participating in some kind of volunteer program, fundraiser program. That often is a way that girls you know, initially connect and then might continue that connection.
No, I think that's important. It's excellent. So I'm glad you're giving your message out to more people, because that's what I really feel is a reservation by a lot of girls or women in general, where they would say, well, we can't participate as much. You know, they see, well, Rabbi, you're a male, and the cantor, he's a male. So therefore they say, well, you really don't need me. I'm not important in the Jewish community, which, you know, we say, well, it's absolutely not true, you know, so you don't have to be a rabbi to be a teacher. I mean, look at yourself. You're not a rabbi, but you're doing tremendous amount of educating to people, and we have many women educators, so it's just a fallacy. But I think that's important, that you feel that, you know, girls are important. I mean, the way their perception is, again, perception is not the reality, that's what I'm trying to say. On the other hand, their perception is, I'm unimportant to Jewish life. I don't, no one needs me, no one wants me there. I don't have any leadership roles, and women always are leaders, and in their own ways. So I think that's an important message.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that point of leadership roles is really important. Well, all our staff are volunteers for the magazine, and they're all young girls. So, you know, some of them are 15, 16, but they are the ones coordinating the assignments, telling other girls what their deadlines are, brainstorming the ideas. We've even had some girls who are making advertising calls, researching, you know, how to market the magazine. So, you know, once the girls were in these leadership positions, you really see them just blossom, and they're able to do so much, and they've, you know, they feel so proud of themselves and responsible. So I think definitely finding, you know, leadership positions and feeling needed is a very important thing for girls and women.
No, I think it's not only important, I think it's essential. Because, I mean, and I'm not just saying this because, you know, to be nice, but I just really, I mean, it says it, but I see it, that women are the backbone of the Jewish people. It's not like, I'm not only saying that, okay, they can join also. I think they're really the forefront. I see of families constantly with children. You try to work with families, then it means you're working with the Jewish mother. And so it's not like she can come along with us. So I think that's, like I say, it's more than important, it's more essential. And really it starts with youth, you know. I mean, obviously, Chabad for sure works with college students, and obviously at any age, no matter who you are, if you still have a day in your life, you obviously can affect yourself, other people in the Jewish community, but you start young, which is what you're doing. I think that's very, very, very important for the Jewish people in general.
Thank you.
In any case, well, I want to thank Leah Caras for joining us. Here's her magazine, which I think is incredible. I mean, any person puts out a magazine. I'd also say, hey, you're doing a good job, an excellent thing to put out your own magazine, but let alone as a teenager, young teenage girl, putting it out and carrying it through and growing. And like I say, filling a major void in the Jewish community. And we're going to appreciate, look for especially your local now, and that's also, like I say, appreciate that your local affect the local girls even more because you're here, but seeing your progress in the future and give you a few ideas, to push you. I know, like I say before, you're doing so much. It's incredible. So, like I say, if someone would do what you did at the end of their life after 120 years, they'd be proud of themselves. But let alone you have so much more to accomplish and actually grow. There's so much, like I say, filling a void in the Jewish community and Jewish girls where they feel super important. I know many girls feel that way, that, that what can I add to the community? Like I say, I can't be the cantor, I can't read the Torah, so what good am I? You don't want me anyway. And it's absolutely not true. And just say how important they are, and it's a very good job. So even though Wells Fargo gave you the #1 prize, we'll on the Jewish View give you our #1 prize. Doesn't come with $100,000, don't ask. But in any case, I mean, I really think it's incredible what you're doing. You're very, very special, and I also that, like that we're honored, I know, on behalf of the Albany Jewish Capital District Jewish community, they have a person like yourself and all your capabilities here and headquartered here. And we'll have to see you grow and invite you back on the Jewish View again. So thank you very much, Leah, for joining us on the Jewish View.
Thank you for having me.